When you see lists of the most walkable cities in the US, they're usually expensive coastal cities. But I don't see walkability as a city level metric. To me, it's really about neighborhoods. And something I really love is a super walkable neighborhood in a city that's got a reputation for the opposite. So this week, it's the 10 most unexpectedly walkable neighborhoods in the US. And it's up next. This is CityNerd, weekly content on cities and transportation. As always, viewer suggested topics are appreciated, and today's is yet another one. This comment came in on my recent video on freeway heavy downtowns. Viewer R. Roberts wrote, "My suggestion would be to do a video about something unexpected. Example, a walkable section of a city that is known for not being walkable. Love all of your videos, triple exclamation." I kind of found this idea really inspiring, and I like that this is a way that I can highlight good things about 10 cities that might otherwise only show up on this channel for the wrong reasons. And you know how this channel is. I'm not gonna just subjectively pick 10 neighborhoods that I personally really like. Instead, I'm gonna do something objective so you all can understand what the criteria are and critique it down in the comments, as one does. And in this case, the criteria is walk score, registered trademark. For those of you not familiar with walk score, here's how it works. 0 is bad, 100 is good. I'll leave links so you can read up more, but it's an index that really accounts for two things. Walk distance to different amenities like stores, restaurants, and public services, and pedestrian friendliness, which is measured by things like intersection density, block length, and population density. So I'm using walk score because it's objective, but it clearly has limitations. So if you have thoughts, let me know down in the comments. My understanding is it doesn't really do much to differentiate on things like the quality of the walking experience, difficulty of crossing busy streets, or even necessarily knowing whether a quote-unquote grocery store is actually a full-service store or just a mini market that sells beer and Frito-Lay products. So we'll investigate that as we go through our 10 neighborhoods. And as usual, I've got kind of an arbitrary city size threshold just to keep the scope manageable. I'm looking only at cities proper that have a population over 250,000. The metric I'm going to use is the differential between the walk score rating of a neighborhood and the walk score rating of the city it's located within. Another thing, if a neighborhood is called downtown or central business district, I'm not counting it. Honestly, if you're downtown, it's usually the oldest part of your city, which probably predated car-oriented design, isn't walkable, you've got major problems. I'll revisit this when I get to honorable mentions. And one more note, I'm only counting the top rated neighborhood for each city, so no duplicates. I'll note the average sale price for each neighborhood as we go through. And in this current era of work from home and geographic arbitrage, well, prepare to rethink your personal location decisions. All right, enough setup, let's get into it. Number 10, we're going to Oklahoma City, which has a walk score index of 34. But this is the Paseo neighborhood north of downtown, and it scores an 84. So that's a 50-point differential. So you can already see your city has to rate below a 50 to even get on this list. Paseo has a lot going for it. It's got a little gallery district with some Spanish revival stuff going on. It's pretty affordable with an average sale price of $239,000. But a question I have is, where are the sidewalks? City streets on a grid that have curbs but no sidewalks? It's kind of cursed. Number 9 takes us to Orlando, Florida, which has a citywide rating of 41. And this is the South Eola neighborhood, just east of downtown, which rates a 91. That's also a 50-point differential. So I used the transit score and bike score ratings as a kind of tiebreaker. And I like South Eola. It's kind of shiny and new and bougie looking, but it's got good density. It's got a farmer's market, it's got a Publix, it's got a ton of shops and restaurants, it's got a little lake with a walking path. The streetscapes are pretty nicely done. Redfin's showing a median sale price of $430,000, so the amenities do come at a price. For number 8, we're going to Austin, Texas, which does have the same citywide rating as Orlando, 41. But this is West University, which is west of the University of Texas and north of downtown. West University rates a 91, same as South Eola. So again, I applied the tiebreaker. The neighborhood has a really well-connected sidewalk grid, and it connects over to all the destinations on Guadalupe Street, aka the drag. You can tell from street view or like an isometric, or if you've been there recently, that a lot of the density is pretty new infill. And Redfin's giving me a median sale price of $345,000. So Texans chime in, is that right? I thought Austin was expensive, but it's no wonder people are still moving there. Number 7, and this is the first time we're going to Alaska on this channel. Anchorage has kind of a rock bottom walk score rating. It's 28. And I'm not gonna show you the bad, or I guess really typical parts of these cities. You can street view them yourself, but fair warning, it's not easy to look at. But the neighborhood we're looking at here is downtown Espinal. Alaskans, check my pronunciation. It rates an 80, so that's a 52-point differential. Remember, I'm relying on walk score ratings for this list, but if it's just me looking at this subjectively, I have a hard time putting this in the top 10. Northern Lights Boulevard and Spinard Road is kind of ground zero for this neighborhood. And it just seems like not a lot of density, a whole lot of parking crater, and the walking environment just doesn't seem great. On the plus side, the median sale price is $153,000, and I think the government still pays you to live there. But you know, it's oil money, just don't love it. But viewers, if you have a soft spot for Anchorage, make your case down in the comments. Number 6, let's go back to the lower 48. This is Columbus, Ohio, which has a walk score rating of 40. But we're going to short north, or probably the short north. I mean, after all, this is Columbus. The short north is north of downtown, and it scores a 92. The main drag here is North High Street, which I actually featured in my Freeway Heavy Downtowns video a couple weeks ago. This overpass over I-670 is at the south end of the neighborhood. The short north is pretty much defined as a couple blocks on either side of High Street. And I don't know, I think the street is really well done. Good density, great mix of older and newer buildings. Nice streetscape. The arches are kind of cool and interesting. Ohioans, let me know what the story is on those. Average sale price of $305,000. Adjacent to the university and downtown. It just seems like a really good value. Just don't tell them I sent you. For number 5, we're going south over the state line. Louisville, Kentucky only scores a 34 for its citywide rating, which I find surprisingly low from what I've seen of Louisville. But anyway, we're here for the Highlands neighborhood, which scores an 89, so that's a 55-point differential. You've got some density up here on East Broadway, and the residential streets with all the old houses and the mature trees are really just beautiful. And you're close to all the places to shop and eat over on Baxter Avenue and Bardstown Road, and all for a median sale price of $315,000. So yeah, the Highlands is a pretty good value too. And for number 4, we're staying in Kentucky. This is Lexington, which scores a 34 citywide, same as Louisville. And the neighborhood is historic South Hill, which scored an 89, just like the Highlands, but Lexington wins on the transit and bike score ratings. Like the neighborhoods we looked at in Austin and Columbus, historic South Hill is nestled in close to downtown and a major university campus. Cute streets, walkable to a lot of places. There isn't actually a ton of density here, and some of what there is dorms. And there's definitely more surface parking than I'd want to see, but I could definitely see living car-free here. And the median sale price of $266,000 is not too shabby. For number 3, you know, I do like that this is an opportunity to come back to some of the cities that have kind of taken it on the chin in my previous videos. So this is Kansas City, which has a citywide rating of 35. Not too much of a surprise. And the neighborhood we're going to is Old Westport, which rates a 92. So that's a 57-point spread. I love this one because it's obvious just from an aerial that it was a completely separate community that settled independently of KC. I had a comment recently from viewer Jared Schwartz, who pointed out the influence Kansas City's historic streetcar network had on the city's development. And you can definitely see it in Old Westport. It looks like Broadway and Westport was a major node on that network. And really, you could see the influence of historic streetcars in just about every neighborhood that made this list. I didn't research historic alignments for this video in any comprehensive way, but I am going to tackle something like that in a future video. Anyway, Old Westport is great, full of historic charm, great streetscapes. Again, a bit too much parking for my taste, but it is Kansas City, so there just aren't that many travel options. Median sale price here is $410,000. Before we get to the top two, please consider making a small offering to the almighty YouTube algorithm if the mood strikes. Your comments and thumbs ups, and really even your thumbs downs, really do help make this a better channel. And consider subscribing if you haven't already. For honorable mentions, I said I didn't want to include downtowns on this list because I think it's cheap, but here are two that would have made the list. Greensboro, North Carolina, which has a citywide rating of 29, but the downtown is an 85. It's got a median sale price of $182,000, but honestly, I just don't see much residential here. And then Laredo, Texas, where the neighborhood is called Central Business District, and it outscores the city as a whole 94-41. I don't know about this one. I don't even see residential here. And Redfin doesn't even have an average sale price, which tells me they don't have enough transaction data. Wow. You guys, literally, I'm staying in an Airbnb, which is the basement of a house where the person runs a doggy daycare, and it's out of control. Okay, on to number two. This is Nashville, Tennessee, with a walk score rating of 28, and the neighborhood is East End, which scores an 88. So that's a 60-point differential. Cute walkable streets, check. Some density on 11th, check. Walkable commercial street leading to a commercial node at 5 points, check. I guess my one hesitation is I can't figure out where the grocery store is, which would be kind of a deal breaker for me. I mean, there's the four-way market, but that sounds like where you go to get like illicit psychedelic substances. And Redfin is telling me the median sale price is $681,000. Tennesseans, is this accurate? It seems off to me, maybe just like a small sample size, but I really don't know Nashville that well. And that brings us to number one, which I'm actually pretty happy with. This is Charlotte, North Carolina, which scores a pretty terrible 26 citywide, but we're going to 4th Ward, which scores an 89. Great grid, super walkable, lots of density. You've got this view tower, which apparently has its own Wikipedia page. This is how I know it is the tallest residential building in the state of North Carolina. For groceries, you've got a Harris Teeter right in the middle of the neighborhood. Your walking distance to NFL, NBA, and NHL games, and MLS in 2022. I mean, there is a downside. From my detailed research, it appears 4th Ward does not have a Bojangles, so that could be a deal breaker. But the median sale price appears to be $305,000. That feels crazy undervalued to me. So why is it so inexpensive? North Carolinians, let me know what the deal is. Okay, that's all I've got. And ignoring walk score altogether, let me know if you have a favorite walkable neighborhood in a city that is otherwise considered unwalkable. Keep the great topic suggestions coming, and I'll be back with a new installment next week. See you then.